Alright, let's dive into something that's been buzzing in the racing world lately, and trust me, it's a wild ride. So, Shane van Gisbergen, or SVG as we all know him, just had one of those days at the Iowa NASCAR Cup Series race that he'd probably rather forget. Finishing 30th after a mid-race spin? Ouch. But here's the thing. What makes this really interesting is how it fits into the bigger picture of the Chase playoff contenders. Personally, I think this race was less about SVG's performance and more about the chaos that unfolded around him. I mean, Austin Cindric, Erik Jones, Ryan Preece, and Brad Keselowski all had their own struggles. It's like the racing gods decided to throw everyone a curveball, and SVG just happened to be in the thick of it. Now, let's talk about that spin on lap 91. One thing that immediately stands out is how it could have been a total disaster, but SVG managed to salvage something out of it. Losing a lap after stalling? Not ideal. But what many people don't realize is how crucial it was that he regained that lap after Rick Stenhouse Jr.'s incident. It's those small moments that can make or break your race, and SVG's ability to stay in the fight, even if it was just to finish 30th, shows his resilience. From my perspective, this race was a masterclass in damage limitation. Sure, he didn't finish where he wanted, but he's still 15th in the standings with a decent buffer to the cutoff. That's the kind of strategic thinking that keeps you in the game. What this really suggests is that the Chase playoff battle is far from over. With just 3 races left before the cutoff, every point matters. SVG's 47-point buffer feels comfortable, but in NASCAR, things can change in an instant. Take Erik Jones, for example. He came into this race challenging SVG for a spot in the chase, but that early incident with Tyler Reddick completely derailed his momentum. If you take a step back and think about it, this race was a perfect example of how quickly fortunes can shift in this sport. One moment you're in the hunt, the next you're just trying to survive. A detail I find fascinating is the driver cooling issues SVG faced throughout the race. I mean, imagine being in that car, battling for position, and then having to deal with that kind of discomfort. It's a reminder of just how physical and demanding this sport is. And yet, SVG still managed to fend off Christopher Bell in the run to the second stage break. That's the kind of grit that separates the good from the great. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Ty Gibbs taking the victory in that grandstand finish against Christopher Bell? That's a storyline in itself. Gibbs is now second in points, and it's clear that Joe Gibbs Racing is a force to be reckoned with. But what this really raises is a deeper question. How will SVG and the rest of the Chase contenders respond in the final 3 races? Richmond Raceway is up next, and personally, I think that's where we'll see the real contenders start to separate themselves from the pack. Lastly, let's not forget about the Castrol Supercars throwback livery at Sandown. It's a small detail, but it's these little nods to history that make racing so special. It's not just about the competition, it's about the stories, the legacy, and the fans. So, while SVG might be licking his wounds after Iowa, I have no doubt he'll be back stronger. After all, in racing, it's not about how hard you fall, it's about how you get back up. And SVG? He's a fighter. So what do you think? Is SVG still a lock for the chase, or is his spot in danger? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Catch you in the next one.